Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Companies out there saw opportunity to provide service for big profits. This has kind of been the headlines over the last, 6 months or so. And here's my quick take on it. These for-profit companies that are out there to assist you and all of that with filing your VA claim are a product or a byproduct of lack of funding for your county and state-run veteran service offices. I'm not talking about the nonprofit VSO veteran service organizations like VFW, DAV, those. I'm talking about your actual county and state veteran resources, your paid employees that are there, 5 days a week or whatever. These organizations are traditionally underfunded, therefore they're very reactive, they can't really be proactive, and hence the for-profit companies out there serving veterans. Now, I will throw out before I jump into this article that one of the positive, now everybody already knows the negatives. The negatives are, look, it costs a lot of money, and that's really the biggest, negative, the punch in the face, if you will. Now, the one positive about these companies is that they are actually incentivized to find everything that they can actually claim for you, or at least guide you down that road so you can file your claim yourself, whatever, because they're not really allowed to. So that's a positive. But I will also say that that is kind of like the YouTube world with shedding the light on all of the different things you need to do to find everything that you can claim. So there is a little bit of, if you put in a little bit of elbow work yourself, you don't really need to have somebody else tell you what you could file for. You know you better than anybody. So, but again, these companies are out there and they are actually incentivized, right? They'll make more money if they get you a higher claim to find everything that they could possibly file for you. Could you do it yourself? Sure. All right, so with that, I'm going to jump into this article here. This was actually a couple days ago, but I'm just now doing it, getting out to you. I think it came out on the 23rd of May. And the headline here is, Veterans became eligible for billions. These firms saw a chance to profit. So there's kind of two worlds now. You have the accredited world, which includes accredited veteran service representatives, veteran officers, veteran service organizations, claims agents, and attorneys, all kind of fall under that VA approved source for you. Then you have the everybody else that says, pay me and I'll show you the way. Pay me, give me money, I know that you're desperate to get a higher rating. Just pay me and I'll get you there, right? Which is fine. Like, I get it that that's there. And like I said, it's a byproduct of the fact that all these other organizations are underfunded. You want to file a claim, hey, we can't see you for 2 months. Or, look, what do you want to file for? Let's throw it together. Okay, go. So they're not actually helping you to figure out your situation. So I get it. All right, so moving on. Despite a federal law that prohibits charging veterans for help in applying for disability benefits, for-profit companies are making millions. So that's the subheadline. This is by Lisa Rain on the Washington Post. And I'm going to jump into it. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I appreciate it. It really does help to get the word out. And that's what I'm doing. So I'll throw out there for folks, like, I have a tiny bit of, I guess, bias because I was accredited veteran service officer, did that and ran an office, did claims, worked in veteran benefits as an employee, basically, for the state and for a county. And in addition, also worked at a nonprofit. So the for-profit thing in helping veterans is a little bit, I don't know. I have whatever, over a decade of kind of ingrained, you don't charge. So anyway, I try to shake that, and that's why I do say, like, look, there is an advantage. They're going to they're incentivized, right, to find everything they can find. All right, enough about that. Let's jump back into it. Senators savored the moment on a summer day outside the Capitol, the passage of a sweeping bipartisan agreement to add $280 billion in new benefits and health care for millions of veterans exposed to toxic burn pits. More than a year after taking effect, the Honoring Our Pact Act has proved enormously popular. This week, the president announced that more than 1 million disability claims have been approved under the new law. But glitches, slowdowns, and other mishaps have dogged the program's rollout by the Department of Veterans Affairs, enabling the growth of an unregulated shadow industry that promises to drastically boost tax-free disability checks. I agree that there is that kind of feeling that it's like, you know, I have the set of magic keys here. Come over here, I'll get you hooked up. The reality is that everybody's situation's different. Not everybody has the same ability to reach 100% or reach special monthly compensation, right? It might not be in the cards, and that's okay. But you should be rated at what you should be rated at for the service connectable conditions and secondary conditions that you have, right? All right, moving on. Let's see. According to lawmakers, advocates, and leaders in the claims industry, the exchange for veterans signing away thousands of dollars in future benefits. So, right, it's this bag of money shown to you, and that, look, you sign away a bunch of it. Typically, from what I heard, it's 5 to 6 months worth of the increase. So if you went from 0 to 100, well, that's over, you know, if you have a spouse and a dependent, over $4,000 per month, tax-free, times 6 months is a lot of money. All right. Despite a federal law, there's a federal law that prohibits charging veterans for help in applying for compensation for wartime injuries. So the workaround is, look, we're not going to actually apply for you. We're just coaching you, teaching you, training you, educating you. As many as 100 unaccredited for-profit companies now are making hundreds of millions of dollars, a Washington Post review found. The overwhelmed Veterans Agency says the government is all but powerless to stop the practice, particularly since Congress years ago stripped criminal penalties from the law. And now a cadre of mostly Republican lawmakers, this is the Washington Post, so I mean it's going to lean that way, just like if you go the other way, for those out there that care, is pushing to do away with the restrictions altogether, a plan bankrolled by a well-funded industry group led by a former high-ranking prior administration VA official. Interviews with current and former employees, VA officials, and court documents reveal booming industry that charges veterans anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000 for help filing disability claims that by law should be free. And here's the thing. Sometimes it's a really easy claim. It could be a presumptive condition that the veteran's not aware of, that it is a presumptive because of lack of education, right? So lack of awareness. That's why personally, I believe that doing these types of videos, pushing out information, talking about presumptives, doing all that stuff, growing the channel, right, all together, helps to eventually get this into the hands of more people that could then go, oh, you know what, it's a presumptive condition. I don't need to go pay thousands of dollars for this. I could just do it myself. Moving on, many former service members are enticed by aggressive online and TV sales pitches from the largely veteran-led groups that promise a success rate of up to 90% in boosting benefits. It looks like they're throwing you a lifeline when they're just taking advantage of you, said Powell, 28, a Navy veteran from Kansas, who paid a claims company $8,000 for helping her win an increase to her disability rating. The industry says it's simply educating veterans about how to negotiate a long-troubled VA benefit system, and that its services are fully legal since clients ultimately submit their own claims. While government lawyers have sent them numerous notices to cease and desist, the companies argue that the law doesn't expressly forbid their service. Again, it's education, right? VA Claims Insider is an education company, period, spokesman Jeff Eller said of one of the industry's founding companies. Seeking accreditation from VA would be like a doctor pursuing a law degree or a plumber deciding to get HVAC certified. It doesn't make any sense. Free services provided by veterans of foreign wars, disabled American veterans, state and local veterans agencies, and other accredited nonprofit groups have failed to keep up with VA's cumbersome bureaucracy, the company says. And I'll say here that, in my opinion and from my experience, the veteran service organizations have been really on top of changes in the VA, different rules, different regulations. They have to keep up their accreditation. They go to conferences. They hear directly from the VA on what's changing, how it's changing, and so forth. I think that the problem is they're just understaffed. So they don't have enough bandwidth to take on new clients or to really spend the time that's needed with the veteran to actually explore their entire potential claim. And instead, they're reactive and order taking in a lot of cases. Veteran comes in, I want to file a claim for X. Okay, let's file your claim for X, period. Do it, done, it's filed, great, you won, good job. Versus, okay, well, did X lead to Y or Z? What other things do you have? Let's look through everything. And granted, look, I'm not saying that veteran service offices don't do that. I'm saying that in a overwhelming, sweeping look at it from a very far view, you're going to see that happening. There's going to be some offices that are dialed in and they do that, and they do it, and maybe they do it sometimes when they're less busy, and maybe they don't do it as much when they are busy. Anyway, moving on. Industry leaders say that veterans should have a choice to pay for help and don't get charged if they don't win compensation. Jim Hill, co-founder and chief executive officer for Gainesville, Florida-based Trajector Medical, which specializes in preparing medical evidence for claims, said the vast majority of his company's clients have already tried and failed to secure benefits with the help of free groups. The veteran service organizations have already taken a crack and lost. His and other firms declined to provide data to support their assertion that they get better results than accredited groups. But some current and former employees of the firms say they make unrealistic promises and embrace tactics that can put veterans' claims at risk. Many companies devote minimal time to individual cases, former clients and employees say. These companies are incredibly savvy, said Maureen Ellis, a senior benefits official at VA and co-chair of a task force the White House created in December to protect veterans from scams. Veterans infer that somehow filing through them is going to be more beneficial to them than filing through VA, but they're misinforming people. Experts on veterans benefits say the companies are violating the law by assisting veterans with their claims and taking advantage of VA's lack of enforcement. That's a bit far. I think that look, you shouldn't have huge, gigantic, gouging prices, but if somebody wants to pay marginal, tiny little bit of money for a little bit of education regarding their specific claim and their situation, I think that's okay. But I don't think $20,000 is okay. And I've seen all kinds of claims, and there's no claim out there that was worked on that would go, you know what, I deserve $20,000 for helping you on that claim. There's just none. All right, moving on. Each company does it a little differently, but it is not just giving consulting services. They're helping them get medical evidence to help them win the claim, said Yelena Durrett, director of the Veterans Legal Clinic at the University of Illinois Chicago School of Law. With little federal action on the horizon, state legislatures in New York, New Jersey, Maine have banned or restricted for-profit claims companies, and similar bills are pending in at least 5 other states, promoted by the VFW, which is waging a public battle against the industry. Several law firms representing veterans and accredited claims agents, along with the Texas Attorney General, are suing companies for a range of allegedly predatory practices. The VA Inspector General's office has also opened criminal investigations into several firms, officials said, aiming to find a legal way around the agency's lack of prosecutional power. Caught in the middle are millions of veterans who want the benefits they're owed under existing law. Powell, now a student activist for veterans at George Washington University, says she's gathering medical evidence to file a claim under the Pact Act for exposure to burn pits off the African coast that may have contributed to 2 surgeries for an ovary syndrome and hormonal condition. But Powell says this time she will get free help from an accredited agent with the VFW. Looking back on it, I feel dumb, she said of her experience paying a company, which she declined to name for fear she'll be harassed. They wanted a cut of everything I got. I don't want to hold on to that shame. So what I've heard is that what happens in this world is you may sign up with an organization, then if you walk away, you already signed a contract, and any increase you get, you still have to pay part of it. I don't know. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. I mean, on both I guess there's three things here, and oftentimes the VSO is just condensed, but really VSO is split down the middle. There's veteran service organizations, there's veteran service officers, and veteran service reps that work for the county or the state. Then you have the nonprofit veteran service organizations, your VFW, DFE, American Legion, and so on. Then you have the for-profit industry. So I'd love to hear kind of a little bit of your experiences in each one of those. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.